Alright, today we are going to be ranking empires of history on a tier. I'm using tiermaker.com, and I don't know why I'm doing this, but I am. Here we have the Hunnic Empire, the Huns, like Attila. He wasn't the only one. Here we have the Roman Empire. The rest have been labeled. And I'm just going to get started. This is going to be a short video, but who cares? Alright, so to begin we have S tier. This is going to be extremely important in history. A will mean, and of course this is all from an American's perspective. I'm in college right now, but we have A, which is going to be important for history, but maybe not as important as S. B is just average. C is not so important, but I've heard of it, and it's great. Obviously all of these civilizations were great, and empires. And D, I'm not going to have an F, but D will just be like, you know what, I've never heard of this, or, you know, it's an empire. Alright, so to begin, well, we have some amazing. British Empire definitely had the most land, huge effect. America spawned because of this. India, the Middle East, Africa, Caribbean, all of this has been contested or controlled or seen by the British Empire at one point. And that's seriously weird of how much land they've controlled, but they've done it. Alright. Next we have the Mongol Empire. It's cut off, but you get the idea. Mongol Empire also controlled at one point 16% of the world, and China feared them. But having inventions or things happening, for now I'm going to leave it at a B tier because it was great and feared, and they had a lot of land, but it wasn't necessarily a growing, huge change, conquer kind of idea. It's just a lot of area. But 16% of the world for over 100 years, or up to about 100 years, is pretty impressive. The British Empire controlled 23% of the world in 1920, I believe. So, right, next we have the Russian Empire, again controlling 15% of the world, but never was quite, like, I'd say it's, I mean, it fought a lot of wars, and there's a lot of names that we could drop that controlled Eurasia and even part of North America in 1721. You know, Alaska was bought by the United States from this empire. Capital was St. Petersburg. They spoke Russian and Polish and Finnish and Swedish, with the Russian Orthodox Church having a huge effect in this monarchy here. Of course, we have Peter the First. We have Sergei Witte as a prime minister when it became a constitutional monarchy. But other than that, you know, all these effects after Napoleon and stuff, it just wasn't that impressive. Right now we're going to put it in the C tier. Maybe alongside the Mongolian later, but for now it's not quite the thing we're looking for. Next we have the Spanish Empire. They controlled up to 13% of the land during their reign from 1810 to 1750. Again, that's almost 100 years. And they did control a lot, and we have a lot of history from them. So we're going to leave them in the A tier. Next we have the Qing Dynasty, Great Qing. Very important. They controlled a lot of the world. They were about the exact same time as the Spanish Empire, from 1820 to 1790, I believe. Lots did come from them. You know, that was a time that gunpowder was becoming important and stuff. Very, very important empire compared to all the other Chinese empires that we've had. So we're going to leave it in the A tier for now. Next we had the French colonial empire and second French colonial empire. The second empire was very powerful in 1920, controlling 7% of the world. About 11 million kilometers, 11.5 million kilometers. And, of course, it's kind of declined since then, but they were very important. We're going to leave them in B tier, since they weren't as big as the British or Spanish Empire. Okay, the Abbasid Caliphate. Now, lots of people don't know about this. They were kind of rivals of the Umayyad Caliphate, black and white, literally. I'm not joking. That was the standard that they had. These are Islamic caliphates that succeeded Muhammad. Okay, so this was like huge back then in, 560s Common Era. It is a dynasty. Capital was Baghdad of the Abbasid Caliphate. Okay, and it was founded by Muhammad's uncle. At its greatest extent, it covered all of Saudi Arabia, all of like Iran, all the way up to Turkey, lots of Africa. But we don't know. Most people don't know about it in America, as well as the Umayyad Caliphate, which was a little bit smaller. It was the second of 4 major caliphates during the time after the death of Muhammad. And they had the white. They covered so much more land than in AD 750. They covered even more, including up to Spain, and that actually had a lot of effect. Going up into Spain and Portugal, we heard a lot of history from there. We have Arabic, Greek, Latin, Persian, Aramaic, Armenian, Berber languages, Prakrit, Georgian, all Islam, and they spread quite a bit. And it kind of just disappeared after that. But they had about 33 million people at one point, so pretty important. Right, next we have the Xiongnu Empire, which, if you don't know about that, I've heard of it once. That's why I put it on this list. Covered a lot of Mongolia and Russia in the 1st century, 3rd century BC to the late 1st century AD, actually. Most people don't know about it, but it's an empire. We're going to put it in D tier. Empire, meh, who knows. Empire of Brazil was pretty powerful and controlled a lot of land, but when you think about it, no one really lived in that land. There's forest, and it's still a huge country, but we don't really have an opinion. Empire of Japan. America fought the Empire of Japan. South Pacific. They covered lots of China at one point. They controlled up to 5% of the world. Had a great army. Great innovations. We're going to just put them in A tier because they still are a great country, although they do not cover quite as much land as currently. Iberian Union, that was Portugal and the Spanish crown between 1580 and 1640. It was on the Iberian Peninsula. Philip, it was the Habsburg kings, Philip II. Oh, loud thunderstorm outside. Sorry if you can hear that. Philip III, Philip IV. And there's the Portuguese Restoration. Not a huge importance to history here in the United States, so we're going to leave it in C tier. Next, we have this. Most people don't know what this is. This is the Achaemenid Empire. It was actually called the First Persian Empire, founded in Western Asia, and it was founded by Cyrus. Went from the Balkans to Europe, even to Indus Valley. Very big, very influential, and Cyrus was actually the king of kings, in my opinion. Very well done. And they also have a very cool flag. I'm actually going to put them in A tier. Capital was Babylon again. It's changed hands quite a lot. Ottoman Empire, everyone's heard of it, but no one quite knows like who they are necessarily. It's also the Turkish Empire. Controlled lots of Europe, Western Asia, North Africa between the 14th and early like 20th centuries. They had a tribal leader, Osman I, and after the Ottomans crossed into Europe, it kind of became a transcontinental empire. It ended the Byzantine Empire, so it was actually a pretty big deal at the time. Next we have the Roman Empire. Obviously we're going to put this in the S tier. Didn't cover quite as much land as these other ones, but it lasted for quite a long time. Broke off. We're just going to include all the Roman empires, Western as well. Split it into a whole bunch of little bits and pieces, but we have so much writing and historical stuff from that point. We have the Hunnic Empire. Conquered so much. I've actually been to Europe and they made it all the way there. The most well-known Hun was Attila, though he was not the first one to start this empire. We're going to put him in B because he did it quite a bit. Sorry I couldn't find a flag or anything, but that is the Huns, the Hunnic Empire. Egyptian Empire obviously lasted forever. We're going to talk about the union between North and South Egypt, Old Egypt and New Egypt. Single-handedly, it wasn't one empire the entire time, but it did last, just like the Roman Empire, for so much time that you can't deny its importance. Akkadian Empire, we're going to put here, most people haven't heard of this. I actually don't even know quite what to expand on it, other than covered a lot of land, and I think it lasted for only about 100 years. I can't remember. It was Mesopotamia. You guys have all heard of that. In the Bible, it's called Akkad. It was the Akkadian and Sumerians that were bound together, and that was, of course, up near Israel and the Red Sea, but on the other side of Saudi Arabia. So it's the Mesopotamians. We all have heard of that. Next we have the Qing Dynasty. Very important, but not quite as important as the Mongolian Empire or the Great Qing Dynasty. And of course you have the Great Yuan, which was even less. So that's where I'm going to leave it. If you enjoy this video, I'm glad. You have a wonderful evening. That is where we're going to leave. So we have the S tier British, Roman, Egypt, A tier Spanish, Great Qing Empire of Japan, and the Achaemenid Empire. B we have Mongolian, French, Umayyad, Ottoman, and Hunnic. C we have Russian, Abbasid Empire of Brazil, Iberian Union, Qing Dynasty. And then those that we in America don't really know about are the Xiongnu, Akkadian, and Great Yuan. This one, actually, we might want to, everyone's heard of Mesopotamia, they just don't know the name of the empire. So this is probably a C level, actually. So we're going to leave that. And that is how we're going to save that. We're going to say Empire tier list. You guys can go on to tiermaker.com and find this under under history. Make your own if you care from your perspective. Sorry I didn't do all empires. There's quite a bit. There we go. Save. Perfect. Just what I wanted. Thank you so very much. You guys have a great night, and you stay safe.